a project done is better than a perfect project, because you could spend months, weeks trying to build a project to be perfect.
Yeah.
As opposed to just getting it done. And it's so much more important to just get it done as opposed to trying to find the perfect thing, because we're always trying to find the perfect thing and we're never going to get there, unfortunately.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Stay Shining, Stay Grinding podcast with your host, Jose Gallegos, and my co-host today,
Carlos Castro.
What's going on, man?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yourself? How's your weekend? How's everything? How was the holidays?
The holidays so far have been hectic. You were there. We hosted Thanksgiving at my house.
That was nice.
I always forget about like the pressures that you have to like be aware of when you're hosting. Like you have to set up your house. We don't have the luxury where we could just hire like, event planners and they set it up all for us. So like we have to clean, like we have to make sure that the house is prepped, food, and then we're running errands for the next couple of days until the event. So yeah, it is a lot of pressure. I enjoy it, but it's a lot of
it's pressure.
It's a lot of work.
It looked nice though. It looked like you guys hired an event planner.
Yeah,
the setup was really nice.
Thank you. Yeah, so. My wife is the one. Shayna, she's the one that took care of that.
She's creative.
I only like ran errands. She took care of most of the whole thing, so she's the one to credit. I take like 20% of the credit.
She's a designer. You're the
She actually wanted. She actually wanted to be an event planner.
Oh, really?
Like years back ago, before she started going to college.
We'll have to have her on the podcast then.
I know.
What changed the direction? What made her? That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. So, if you guys have been listening, this is our third episode, correctly, right?
Third episode.
So, hope you guys enjoyed the last one. It was more about an interview about me, who I am, where I'm going, what I do, and where I'm headed. So now we're going to be interviewing Carlos Castro, see what's the backstory from before to what he's been through to why he does what he does and where he's headed. So Carlos, tell us a little bit more about your back. Let's start off with like, what do you do? About your back history.
So I own a media company. I get this question asked a lot, and I always think about like what I do because I get asked this question of like, what do you exactly do as a business? Like, what do you do? Like, especially like my parents are not very knowledgeable of like media and like social media, so they're like still in question and like what exactly I do. They think I just shoot photos and videos, which in a sense I do, but there's more to that aspect. I don't consider myself just a photographer or just a videographer. Like I consider myself a media specialist because I have a finger on different types of medias, whether it's social media, whether it's website development, whether it's marketing, whether it's advertisement. I tend to help my clients find growth through media. So I tell people that my focus is helping other businesses gain growth through media.
Real organic growth.
And real organic growth, yeah.
Because, hey, I mean, I know a lot of you guys get those, hey, we can boost your media or whatever, or your presence. But guys, just do remember a lot of the fake stuff going around does not help you whatsoever. The organic connection, the interaction that people is not real. It doesn't work. But Carlos here has the formula to make it legit, organic. Because I'm experiencing it, right? On our account, like freaking less than 6 months. Like it's not a lot, like 1,500 followers, but the interaction.
And a lot of it is just trial and error. A lot of it is just, and also not just trial and error, but also like since a lot of the brands that I work with focus on social media, we have to also pay attention to the trends. Mm-hmm. When we started doing all this, it was like photography and a little bit of video.
Yeah.
Very little video. And we remember that like when we started like your account, it was
Yeah.
all mostly was photos. So
Photography.
we were
Yeah.
just jamming photos out. I think at one point I think we are producing like, and this was for your business, we were producing like about 3 to 4 photos a day.
Yeah.
And that, at the
7 days
time,
a week.
yeah, that at the time was like the relevancy of like what to produce. And then now we're in a different era, we're in a different generation. Fast forward, now it's all about reels, it's all about
Yeah.
videos, short clip, fast clip edits. Now, me, I'm okay with working doing that. Like, I'm pretty adaptable.
Yeah.
I've learned that now in my life that like I can adapt to anything. So I feel like that's a trait that I have, and that's a good thing that I have, that I can adapt. Like, if there's a new trend, like even if I think it's stupid, or even if I think it's like dumb,
Yeah.
like, well, I'll adapt to it because I know that that's going to get my client's traction.
And that's super important because you have to be willing to adapt, or like they say, innovate,
Mm,
or keep up with trends, because that's where your business is going to be moving left
yeah.
and right. You're going to be moving forward. You're going to be dodging obstacles by adapting. And that's really good that
Yeah.
you're open to that. Not like some people are stubborn, and if if it's not their way or the highway, you know what I mean? So it's important that you're able to grasp that, realize it, and put it into effect, because it's going to help your business grow.
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of see it with other businesses too, that especially, I mean, in your industry, you experience it all the time,
Yeah.
where people just stick to, the same old school way and mentality of,
Yeah.
having a landscape business. And then, they spend over 20 years with just 3 or 4 employees, or people just, coming in and out all the time because there's no actual structure in the company. So, yeah, it definitely is important to adapt, and it's definitely important to be aware of those trends.
Yeah.
Um, Social media is a growing thing, and I feel like social media is going to be like the new like Google and like search engine, because like people before they even ask, or people before when they ask you for like your company or name, or if you do something, they're instantly going to check your social media. They're not going to check your website anymore. Like, I'm sure there's data out there now, which I should actually research, but there's data out there that probably proves this, right? That, there's a statistic that's probably like people check social media,
Yeah.
5 times more than they would check Google search. So,
Yeah, that's very true, because I even see a lot of the new business cards and stuff are coming out with like it directs you to like social media,
yeah.
and like LinkedIn, Instagram, and like a website
TikTok.
or whatever, TikTok. But
Yeah.
yeah, those are slowly moving ahead forward of like a website.
Yeah.
Our website drives attention, and it drives traffic, but social media is starting to pick up probably like a little bit the same level, but
Mhm.
soon maybe more rhythm than the other one. So let me ask you this: before, was this something you always knew you were gonna do, or did you have different plans before this actually
No,
came
I
into a trend?
actually I hated social media when it started becoming a trend.
So
I
funny.
hated it. I didn't care whatsoever about it. Like, I think social media started becoming more trendy around like 2014, 2015. That's when it started becoming like, okay, there's something going on here.
Yeah,
And I remember like watching that grow, but like I didn't have an account. I think I had a Facebook account, but like I didn't go on it. I didn't do anything on it.
yeah,
Um, and I just didn't find any use for it in my life.
hmm
Um, up until the point where I decided to start, doing photography, doing film.
Did you view it more of like family? Because that's what I viewed it like.
Mhm.
You just share photos with family, have
Oh
other
yeah.
people see your like. I in the beginning I saw social media that way, so I started a little later than what most people, and
Mhm.
when it came to business. But is that how you viewed it in the beginning? So you're just like, yeah, I don't really want to get into that.
I honestly, I think I just viewed it as like a closed-minded, like I didn't have a perspective or like a general idea of like what it meant.
Oh, okay.
I just found no use for it in my life at the time. Like I literally found no use for it. Like, um, I live a very like close life. Like, I don't have a lot of like relationships and stuff, like friends or, So I was like, well, I don't really care. Like, and at
Yeah.
the time I was like focused on self growth generally. Like that was my big thing at the time. Like I was like, I want to focus on self growth, and that's internally,
Yeah.
like mentally, spiritually, like that was my focus at the time. So I just feel like anything external like that was gonna give me a false belief of like my
A
reality.
distraction or
Yeah.
something. Okay.
Yeah.
And since if you hated media, so
Well, I didn't
what were
hate
you
it.
planning? Well, like
I didn't like
you
it.
didn't like it.
Yeah.
You didn't think you would
Yeah.
fall into
Yeah.
to having a business of media.
Yeah.
So what was your plan before that? Like, and what made you change gears on that? Change direction.
Before that, I was actually focused on school. My focus was getting an education and doing the whole academic route. Just right before I did that, I went through some life-changing experiences that I don't recommend for anybody. And there was some dramatic changes in my life that set me back a couple of years, where a portion of my life, about 3 years, were put on hold. And I had to, I had no choice. I had no control over that because of life decisions that I decided to take early on in life. That got me incarcerated, got me in trouble. I also had to go to rehab, so then I had to do that. And then at the time when all that happened, I came to an idea that, okay, well, what am I going to do with my life once I'm out? Like I can't, I mean, I can just get a job and like live life, but what am I going to do to better myself? Mind
Yeah.
you, like I said earlier, I was in a place where I was trying to better myself as a person, and I was like, okay, what can I do? And then I started going to school. My girlfriend at the time suggested that. She's like, you know, go to school, like get that going, and then like kind of figure it out. So, I started off as a fine arts major. I've always been into art. My whole
Yeah.
entire life I've been into art. In high school, that was like the only class I had an A in was art. All my other classes I sucked. Um and art was always the thing. So I started off as a fine arts major. I wanted to be a painter. Like I was like, I'm
Okay.
gonna be a painter. And um I didn't find any motivation to like continue to pursue that because of the understanding of like competition. Like I didn't
Okay.
view my art as a competition or a competitive thing. And going to college and academia, like that's a huge component
Yeah.
in there, because everyone's always trying to like wow or like one up each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's not like expressed, but you can feel it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you can feel it. Like we would have these times where we would showcase like each other's art,
Yeah.
and like you can already tell people's expressions compared to one person's art to another, and you can tell the level of like satisfaction they had at looking at that as
Yeah.
opposed to the other one. And I noticed that early on. I was like, I don't know if this is for me, because like I don't care about that.
Yeah.
So
It just did it freely because of just being a creative, right? It's
yeah, that
just-
was my goal. I was like, I mean, again, social media thing again too. Like
It's
I
not
just
that.
didn't care. Yeah.
Nice. So let's go back to. I'm gonna bring back when you said you got in trouble
Mhm.
and you went through a hard time. For you, what was the like the mindset there of being able to kind of pull out of this hole? Because I know there's a lot of people that struggle through a lot of many different things and they just can't seem to get out of that hole. So
Mhm.
for you, what do you recommend, or what happened? What was the shift there where you managed to? I mean, you're doing great right now, dude. I give you hats off to you,
Okay.
dude. Like you're doing good. You're on the right track. And
Yeah.
like early on, you're like 18 there, maybe 17,
It
18.
was about 19. Yeah.
So like you were young, maybe the maturity wasn't there yet, but like something shifted in your mindset that because you were still young when you came
Yeah.
out of jail, you could have still continued
Yeah.
this lifestyle. So what kind of happened there? You want to guide us through that?
What actually happened there was I got a realization of life. And my whole entire life I spent not following the rules, not caring about who I harmed or what I harmed.
Yeah.
I spent my whole entire life like that growing up. Um, I do have also like a lot of like baggage growing up, um, and a lot of that stuff carried on to like when I started transitioning to adulthood, and I
Yeah.
started expressing those feelings and those emotions with using and getting in trouble.
Hmm.
And I actually got in trouble a few times right before the big one hit, and
Yeah.
it didn't phase me
That didn't.
up until that point. And once that happened, for the first year, I was kind of like, whatever, like, this is a breeze, who cares? Up until the point where I actually went to rehab, and then I had to kind of start facing myself. Because when you're in jail, you're there. Like, as long as you're following the routine and you're taking care of business, like, which is like very little
Yeah.
compared to like life in general. um as long as you're taking care of all that, like, you're good. Like, you don't got to worry about anything. So nobody's focused on kind of working within, um up until the point where I went to rehab, and I had to, like, okay, I had to actually look at a mirror and be
Okay.
like, okay, who are you, what are you, and why are you here? And for a while I was in rehab, and mind you, I was in rehab for a year.
Yeah.
So I spent the first couple of months like just like
Like.
fighting the feeling, not caring, like
Yeah.
I didn't care, like, and then I finally got to the point where I had to face the mirror
Like
and
rock bottom, as they say.
rock
Like
bottom, rock bottom. I hit rock bottom like 5 times, dude, and like I wasn't even like an adult yet,
that's
which
what I'm
was
saying, because it's like you said, 5 times, and people may hit rock bottom 20 times, and
yeah.
they still can't get out of that. So it's nice that you found that shift, or you had that great awakening to be able to go past that, you know, whatever space you were in.
Yeah, I just didn't want to be there. Like, I
Yeah.
was like, I don't want this. Like, I met people who were older.
Yeah.
Some of them are friends of mine now that, we grew up now together, that I still keep in touch with. And, some of them were 50s, 40s,
Yeah.
30s, and I kind of like would sit there and like watch like kind of like their life crumble. And their families would come and visit, and they had older children, around the same age as me. And I kind of would like analyze that and be like, man, like, I don't want to be like that. Like, if I do plan on having kids, I do plan on having a future at the time.
Yeah.
um I don't want to put those people around me into that. Like, I already did that with my family. Like, I don't
Yeah.
need to do it with a future family that I do plan on having.
Correct.
So my focus was to not make the same mistake again. And fortunately now I still haven't.
Yeah. Dude.
We're still in the clear. And honestly, like, what really changed was that moment where I had to actually face reality. And
Reality.
it was so freeing at the time. Like, it's so easy to say it like now, but like at the time, it was just you had to grab me by the fucking ears to get me
Yeah.
through there.
And not even then.
Not even then, I was still being stubborn. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, that's good. And it's just for people to realize too, like, it's more of a mindset thing, right? You think, or like an internal reconnection with yourself,
Yeah.
but once you got past through all that, then where did you go from there? Did you go, I know you went from school, but
And
then were you working a daily job somewhere? Or were
yeah,
you
I've well, so when I got out, obviously when you have a criminal record, it's kind of hard to find,
work?
jobs.
Yeah.
So I applied to a couple jobs. Obviously, as soon as they did the whole background thing, they X marks the spot. And so I had to find jobs that, one, didn't run your background, and two,
Wearing what you wanted.
yeah, I mean, I didn't
You
really
were
have
forced to
I didn't
work.
have a choice.
Yeah,
I didn't have a
exactly.
choice. So, I worked a couple laborist jobs. I've worked at a factory. I've worked for a trade. Like, so I've had a couple jobs. I've had experience. I've worked in a restaurant industry. Like, so I've had experience in multiple jobs. And one thing I noticed was I don't want to work for anybody.
Yeah.
And I noticed that like probably like by the second job, like, okay, I'm always shifting jobs. Like I either just didn't like appreciate, I didn't feel appreciated, I didn't feel respected. So I was always shifting. I was always shifting. And then like I finally realized after like the third, second job that I was like, I don't want to work for anybody. And
Yeah.
what can I do to get to that point? And at the time I was going to school. I mean, I at the time I switched my major. I became a sociology major,
Okay.
and that definitely changed a lot mentally for me, like understanding society, which kind of goes and tell with like what I do now.
Yeah.
Um, and I became a sociology major, and a lot of things started to like surface and pop in my head, and then I got to a point where I was going to be transferring to a Cal State university, and my employer at the time, they were pretty flexible with my schedule, but I did tell them like, hey, I am no longer going to be able to, da 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 da, this and
Mm-hmm.
that, because I'm going to be doing school here, and I want to know what you guys can do for me.
Okay.
And at the time, they were like, well, I mean, we're pretty flexible enough with you, but like this is as far as we can go. Like we can't do much after
Mm-hmm.
this. So it's up to you if you want to continue working with us, or put in your 2 weeks. And at the time I was like, well, I just got into a university, mind you, imagine, think about it, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I was in jail.
Yeah.
And so to be in that position where I was able to like, be able to go to school and go to university, not a community college, a
A full
university.
university. Yeah.
And you know I I took the route of going to school. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to school. Like, this is what
So
life.
you quit that job
So I quit the job,
and then full-time student.
full time student. And at the same time as I was quitting the job, you were building your empire. And I remember at the time, I remember this is like way before I even decided to quit. I remember I talked to you on the phone and I said, hey, I know you're like growing, your company's growing and all. And I'm like, is there room for me to like work with you? And this was just labor. Like I
Yeah.
was like, I'm down for labor. And I don't know how we struck the conversation, but like I do remember you saying something about like needing help with like media. And I remember telling you like, yeah, I got some experience with that. Like, cause I used to skateboard and I used to film.
Yeah.
I used
Yeah.
to film skateboard videos, and then I would always like steal my dad's camera and stuff like that. And I remember I told you like, yeah, I have some experience in that. And you're like, all right, like, well, then let's work out a deal where like, one day out of the week you work on media, and then all the other days you work, you
Labor.
work with the crew. And I was like, okay, let's do it. And you were like totally open to the schedule that I had for school. Like you were like, all right, like that's what you want to do. Like, let's do it. And then that's kind of like where everything kind of started manifesting after
The
that.
trickle effect of that. Huh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I do clearly remember that when we're in the process of you were in the process of doing all that, and we even went back to look at your old skateboarding videos. We're like, dude, do you remember where they're at? Like, yeah, they're on YouTube. We just went on there, and I was like,
Yeah.
dude, you were getting the angles where they were doing the kick flips or whatever off the
Mhm.
rails, and I was like, you got style for this thing, so
Mhm.
give it a shot and look at it now, dude.
Yeah.
Do you have how many what would I say, accounts, or how many people do you work for, or that
Right now I have 3 clients that are
nice,
on a weekly basis, including
very
yourself,
consistent?
that are consistent, where we have contracts and we're working every week, every day. And it's a lot of work. I didn't plan to do this. Like I didn't think, again, like I was like, I'm just going to do photography and film. Like that was my original concept, and it was just to get me through school. I was like, this is what's going to get me through school. It's going to help me pay bills. It's going to help me, juggle and balance and manage life. And then like little by little, everything just kind of started surfacing.
Do you look at it like a side hustle? Like this is a quick side hustle just to
Yeah.
bring in some extra cash, pay some books for college or university and all that?
Yeah, it was definitely that. I didn't see this happening. I didn't. I 100% didn't see this happening.
That's funny. I remember when we'd have conversations and you're like, yeah, just probably just to get me through college. And I'm like, we're picking up. And then I remember I went to go get my tattoo from my tattoo artist.
Yeah, yeah.
And then that was smart. You're like, hey, can I come with,
Mhm.
And I didn't think of it at the time, but, you were very open to, just picking up gigs, even if like it was like out of your, what we
Out
had
of my
agreed
way,
on or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, you got out of your way, but you wanted exposure, you wanted to be
Yeah.
out there. So you quickly started picking up that. I remember when we showed up, they're like, "Who the hell is this guy showing up with the camera guy and this and that?" But that grabbed their attention, and
Yeah.
what happened after that?
And then I locked it in with them shortly after that.
You've been working with them,
And
right?
I've been working with them for
It's been
almost
like
2 years
yeah,
now.
2 years.
Yeah.
Shit.
And they have the same mentality and drive as you do. I feel like you and them. I mean, there's two cousins.
Yeah,
Um, you guys have like the same mentality. You guys are business driven. You guys are family oriented. Like, you know, tattooing has a stigma, unfortunately. Like
yeah,
tattooing has a stigma, but like now, like since everything's like surfaced on the internet, social media, like it all changes. And I decided to like continue working with them because like yes, there's again there's a stigma in tattooing that
yeah.
like is not very positive, but like what kept me working with them was that they're business driven, like they're
Yeah.
business driven, they're family oriented, like exactly like you. And something that I learned like as I started to like grow my own business, that like business and family is important.
Yeah.
So
And they have a really healthy environment, really healthy culture there. So it's like opposite of what a tattoo parlor or a tattoo shop people would
yeah,
imagine.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
probably drinking or what I mean, like the old school, like like I would imagine people think tattooing or old school people are like old school Harley Davidson guys,
Yeah,
the
intimidating.
Mongols
It's
or
intimidating. It's intimidating. And I at first like they kind of like at first you kind of thought that like, oh, it's just another shop.
yeah,
But then when you got to know them and then when you got to like build a relationship with them, I was like, oh, like these guys actually give a fuck. Like they
yeah,
actually care about their business. They actually care about their future. And that kind of got me to understanding like, okay, there's more I can do with this. Like it's
oh
not
yeah,
just, a little side hustle. Like there's more that I can do with this. Like I build a connection with you. We got that thing going with you. We're working at it. And then I build a connection with these guys, same thing, and then, since then it's just been a growing pattern for me. I'm only by myself right now. I am working with somebody, a relative of mine who does want to be part of the company as an internship, and I'm sculpting
nice,
her, I'm molding her, I'm getting her to to a point where like she's gonna be handling the social media because again going back to the original
yeah,
concept, like social media for me just like I like it, but I know that it is me with idle hands, it's bad. Like I'll sit there, sometimes I'll catch like if I'm editing a video and then like I'm waiting for it to like, I'm waiting for it to render, I'm waiting for it to like export.
yeah,
I'll go on my phone and like let's say the video takes 5 minutes, I'll add an extra 10 minutes on my phone.
of like
And I noticed that and like so I put my phone down right away. So I have nothing against it. I have nothing it's helped me grow, and it's teaching me to help other businesses grow.
yeah.
But for me, I just feel like it's not something I generally want to focus on. But who knows? Maybe in the future I will. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's awesome. So now it's funny. Part-time job, very minimal attention. Now full-time, looking to hire your first help.
Mm-hmm.
How is all this like intaking for you? Like how is it? 'Cause now you have to delegate help because now it's a lot on your plate.
Yeah.
Being in those first year or two of business is like super overwhelming. You gotta wear all the hats. You gotta
Yeah.
basically do it all. So now you're slowly transitioning So now you're dedicated, you're focused. It's going to be a full-time gig. This is a official business. You're just going to run with it.
Yeah.
And what do you see, for example, how do you plan to expand, or what do you foresee for the future with we never even said the name, Anchored Minds Projects.
Anchored Mind Projects.
Yeah, Anchored Mind Projects.
Anchored Mind Projects.
Where is this headed now? Because it's like you how do you say, you lit the little string on the firework. It's about to launch, dude.
Yeah.
It's moving.
I've heard, like, my wife, and she eggs me about this a lot, and she, like, my wife is a big reason why, like, I take things more serious, because I was one of those people where I want to do this, 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 I want to do this. And she finally got to a point where, like, she kind of got tired of that. She would call it popcorn thinking. It's popcorn thinking. It's when, like, all these thoughts run in your head and you just
popping in your head.
You're just like, and you know, she finally told me, like, what the fuck are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do with yourself? Like, and it took me an understanding, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Like, this is what I want to do. Like, I want to focus in media. I want to become as big as I can be. I don't have a set goal of, like, you know, I want to be worldwide. I don't care about that, but I do know that my goal for the next 5 years is to get to a point where I'm no longer required here. Like, that's my goal. In 5 years is I don't want to be a part of, like, the mechanics of the business. Like, I want to build a team where, like, the team is controlling the business. I just want to show up or make sales or whatever, and then, you know, move on to my next endeavor. I have so many, like, I've actually, like, I've had so many ideas for, like, different businesses. I'm like, now I'm noticing that I'm like a big idea builder. Like, I'm a big idea builder. Like, I love to, like, think of things and be like, back to the popcorn thinking, but I'm kind of being more, like, productive with it now. So I'm always thinking of ideas. Like, I'm thinking of, like, you know, starting up a coffee business, or starting up a meal prep company, like, or, you know, going to a different endeavor, like, you know, or, like, you know, looking into just, I'm always trying to think of, like, what's next. So I do know for sure that, like, in the next 5 years, hopefully, if everything goes as planned, that I will get to a point where I'm no longer needed. So then I can move on to the next thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's very important because, in the beginning stages, a lot of people want to try everything, right? A lot of people, they want to do real estate. They want to do, you know, they want to do stocks. They want to do wholesaling. They want to do media. They want to do freaking landscaping at the same, like, and we're popcorn thinking, I guess it's just the early stage because ideas are, but when you actually put all your energy to outsource into 5-6 different businesses early on, it's going to drain you. You're not going to be good at one thing. So that's cool. You're going to focus on one thing, build the heck out of that. And then once that's established and built, you're on to your next journey.
That's right.
Right on. And Carlos, for you, what intake, like, what did you feed your brain to kind of just be who you are today? Like, do you read books? Do you do podcasting? Or did you just naturally just get this, you know, the mindset that you have? Like, what helped you, and what can help people get that the mindset to be on the right path? Because not everyone thinks the way, you know.
I think that what helps you stay consistent and focused and driven, for me, is to find balance in life first and foremost. Balance is important. Balance is key. And by balance, I mean family, life, business. You know, I did notice early on when I first started that I was putting too much focus on business, and not so much focus on family. And then, you know, a lot of negative things started surfacing from family because of business. And then, you know, I wouldn't focus on health. So then I started noticing health was a problem too. Like, I started to gain some weight, and then you
That's
know,
where I'm at right
so
now.
it was definitely things that needed to happen because
Yeah.
it helped me understand like life better and what I was doing better. But definitely balance is important. Finding that balance where knowing when it's time to put down the phone and to say, all right, I'm done for the day. Like I don't need to work, you
Yeah.
know, or knowing when it's time to, you know, put down the weights. Cause sometimes I find myself like working out and I'm like, I'm only going to work out for an hour. And then like I look at my
2 hours.
watch and it's like, you know, an hour 20. And I'm like, well, I mean, I already passed, you know, I'm already past the hour. Like,
I'll just go for 30 minutes
let's go
more.
for, you know, let's go for the next 10 minutes. So finding the balance is important because I know that if I set standards and set structure for myself with what I do, like everything accommodates itself, you know. Family right now is a big deal right now for me because like my
Yeah.
wife is commuting to San Diego where I'm in charge of the kids right now. So
Mhm.
I'm in charge of like for the majority of the week, I'm in charge of the kids. So I have, you know, I take them to soccer practice, we go to jujitsu, like I have to make sure their homework's done in time. I need to make sure they get them in bed in time,
Yeah.
feed them. We have a dog that we just got, and same thing. Like, so
Damn.
I got, you know, the family thing. As long as there's structure there, like we're pretty big on structure,
Yeah.
especially in our family. Like we're pretty big on that because that keeps the ball rolling for us. And you know, again, if I put too much attention with the family, then work starts to get down
Yeah. It crumbles
and
down.
then
Yeah.
you know health starts to get down, especially right now during the holidays. People are, you know, running
Tamales.
errands, doing all kinds of this and that, and like they forget about going to the gym. Like
Yeah.
this past week, I'm not gonna lie, you know, I didn't work out for like I want to say maybe 70% of the week. Like, so it definitely balance is important. And it's something that you'll find like as you begin to grow.
Yeah.
And it's something that I learned recently, like I want to say in the last few months, that balance is in order for you to continue doing what you're doing is the balance is important because at the end of the day you have to remind yourself about those who are around you
Mhm.
and those people around you are important, but you also have to remember that like in order to, you know, put food on the table, work is
Yeah.
important, and in order to work, health is important. So those are the big three for
Circle.
me
Circle of
is
life.
work, family, work, and health. You know, there's
Yeah.
no like order, but like
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
I would say family is the first, but like, you know, work and health is definitely the close second. And then I mean, I would say become a sponge. Be a sponge. Be a sponge to anything, you know, anything that you can find with. I mean, now so many things are so available to us now, like
Yeah.
YouTube, podcast, Patreon, what is it, Masterclass, or is that what it's called, Masterclass? Um,
What is it?
skill.
Discord.
There's all kinds of
Yeah.
ways
A lot of
oh yeah,
platforms.
there's all kinds of ways of gaining information. Um, Education is also a big thing, you know.
So
Education, yeah.
for you, Carlos, would you say that the experience from college, because right now it's a big fuck college, screw college, you be entrepreneur, be your own boss, blah blah blah. It's big, people are going around like,
Yeah,
ooh,
yeah.
college is a waste of it's a waste of time, energy, and money. All you get is a fat bill at the end of the. Okay, in your experience, um, did college help you? Was it a part of who you are today? And because structure and everything, I've learned a lot from you.
Mm,
Like my head's everywhere. I'm not organized. I get shit done, but I'm not organized, and it
mm-hmm.
hurts me at the end of the day because I'm just like fucking an octopus trying to get everything done, but only with two hands. But for you, would you say that helped you? And like for a younger guy, maybe soon coming out of high school, like listening to all this other baloney. Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
screw this and that. What would you be your advice and on taking that route with college or no college and just self learn and be a sponge?
I think college is necessary. I think college is useful. I think college is going to help a lot of people, including yourself. I think um it help like we can't it's like trying to reinvent the wheel, you know. education, academia has been around for so many years.
Hmm.
Years. Yes, business and entrepreneurship has also been around for a long time, but academia has always had the same standard since it started, you
Yeah.
know. It's always held the same standard. It's always been there. And I feel that if you're in a place where you don't know what to do with your life,
Hmm.
education is definitely the most important thing and the first thing you should consider doing, as opposed to the person on your social media telling you that he became a millionaire in 3 years because he started a business. Like, you don't know where that person originally came from,
Yeah.
what their background's like. They're just telling you I became a millionaire in 3 years, and you think to yourself you can do the same thing. That's why
Yeah.
for me, like, you know, social media is also something that like is an issue too, because like so many people give these false information of like,
Yeah.
you know, you could start your business. You don't need, like you said, you don't need college. That should, you know, that shit's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. But no, there's hundreds, thousands, and millions of people who have gone the educational route and have become successful and even more
More
successful
successful.
than
Yeah.
like, you know, people who are in that position. So yeah, I definitely do think education is important, but it also depends on what you want to do.
That's true.
You know, if you just want to, you know, if you just want to, you know,
Stock trader or
stock
whatever.
trade, take a couple business courses, you know, do some internship, and then, you know, figure out from there. I don't think there's like a set plan for like doing what I do. But from my experience, like education is definitely a big component. Especially because, well, I mean, a big part is too is like my wife is in education, like she's getting her excuse me, she's getting her PhD, and that's huge. So that like helps me, like the more and more that I learn from her, the more and more I understand.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I don't want to do that. I don't want to
Yeah.
get a PhD. Like I don't have the mentality or the understanding of research as much as she does for her research, as opposed to what I want to research. Like
Yeah.
I don't have that drive, but she does. And that helps me understand like education is important. I know a lot of people are like, especially in this era, are they're trying to like debunk education, but I'm
Yeah.
like you don't even know how strong this is. You don't. And it's people who, it's funny because it's people who never been to school are the ones that are saying this shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I can see that. And primarily because when you start a business and you have no education and like, yeah, you could build it, you can get some good revenue, you could probably, maybe $4 or $5 million business. But I feel like if there was some education involved, or at the end of the day, if you delegate, you might end up delegating to people with education. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So they say, oh, don't, college is not good, university is not good. But at the end of the day, if you're delegating, like if you're gonna outsource, the I don't know, a big part of your business, which is media or whatever, there's still some education, and the more education you have, whether it's from university, college, and mixing it with some self, development, like some books, some podcasts, you mix the two, you get a really good outcome out of that. So I don't know why they
Yeah.
debunk it in a way, but I still feel like, if there's a lot to learn on both, and getting that experience wouldn't hurt. It's just some people don't, they don't give it enough credit anymore. They think like just entrepreneur is the way to go. But, even in your experience, what would you say? Because you've tried both and you've seen both, and like, how challenging was it, or still is, or was it starting off your own business compared to like going to college? Because I know that everything's hard in life, but for you, what was the experience, and like, what would you give your feedback on, like, how challenging was it to build this business from the ground up?
I think it's something that I'm still building today.
Yeah.
Like I'm still in the midst of like the beginning stages of a business. Um, I think you're the one that told me like the first 5 years are probably going to be the most like gut wrenching, like teeth pulling, like
Yeah.
stressing years.
Nut kicking.
Nut kicking, and I'm actually going on year 2 now. So, the first year was definitely like a it's like a pink cloud. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term, pink cloud. It's where like, everything seems happy, everything's cool, you're excited, you're trying out new things, yes, I'm gonna do this, I want to do this, I want to do
Yeah.
that. You're open to everything. And then, year two for me now has been a more real like experience. It's like,
Okay.
okay, you have to get your LLC now.
Yeah.
Okay, like you have to make sure that like what you buy and what you buy is important to the business.
Like
Like,
reinvesting into the
yeah,
business
like,
properly.
yeah, you so many things are calculated now for me now, because I financially I'm not that smart, but I'm learning now at the time, as I start to grow, like I'm like, okay, that's important.
Make better
Yeah,
decisions.
because I'm a creative. Like I started painting and drawing, and I picked up a camera, and now I'm doing other things with it.
Yeah, you're not gonna go. You're kicking it off. You have three accounts. You're not gonna go. Like this big thing on social media. You're not gonna go write off a 6,000 pound vehicle. So you're not gonna go get a G wagon because everything is starting to kick off
Yeah.
and flex when when you can reinvest into gear, cameras, micro, like a lot of things that you need that can help your business grow and not just look cool on the outside. Like, hey,
Yeah, I actually learned this recently from a podcast that I listened to. It's called The Future with Chris Stowe. He's has a larger company as opposed to mine. It's very similar. He's a big inspiration of mine. He talks about how like being in debt with equipment, like camera equipment, stuff like that,
Yeah.
is so much more better than being in credit card debt. Like,
yeah.
like you like, for example, if you're starting up a business and you're like $20,000 in credit card debt, like you're already under starting a business.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're, $20,000, I don't want to say I'm $20,000 in debt because it's not. But if you're like $20,000 in equipment debt, like stuff that's gonna help you produce,
Yeah.
you're gonna make that back in the long term.
Mm-hmm.
That credit card debt, you're gonna have to pay it off, yeah, but it's better to have debt that's
making you money.
yeah, that's
It's
gonna
like
be
understanding
making you money.
assets and liabilities.
Yeah,
Everything you buy for your business is an asset that will help you make more money
mm-hmm.
or more streams of money.
Yeah.
Which when you go buy a big screen TV, what is it gonna do for you?
What is it gonna do for you?
Yeah. You're gonna be watching the World Cup and enjoying it, but then at the end of the month you have to give $300 payment to watch the Super Bowl maybe next or whatever, or like the next UFC fight.
Yeah.
So that you said, is that something that you're learning? What made you like realize that? Like
my bank account. My bank account, dude. My bank account. I mentioned my wife a lot, but my wife's also like my like finance consultant. Like anytime I decide to do a big purchase, like I talk to her first. Like I could talk to you and you'll be like, yeah, bro, go ahead, buy it, like get it,
2,000 for a camera?
Yeah, like go, just do it. And then like I tell my wife and she's like, well, do you really need it? Have you paid off all the other stuff that you're paying off right now?
Yeah.
And then I pull myself down from the cloud, the pink cloud, because I will go ham. Like right now, I'm like looking for a new computer. I'm like, I need a new computer. I need a new laptop.
Yeah.
I want to edit while I travel. Like, I can kill two birds with one stone. Da 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 da. Whoop de whoop. And I'm like looking up computers. I want to buy this computer and this and that. And then I tell my wife like, hey, I'm thinking of buying a new computer. Like, what do you think? Right away. Away.
It's more like logical thinking versus emotional thinking.
Yeah,
right?
and that's why like I feel like we have like a lot of balance in life because we are very different when it comes to things like that. Like she's a realist. Again, like she's real. Like she will not sit there and be like, yay, no, she'll be like, you're fucked up. Like, fuck, you got to get that. You got to pick up and go. Like, let's fucking go. Like, so she definitely keeps me on my toes. And then me, I'm more of a dreamer. I'm more of like, dreamer mentality, like,
Pink cloud.
yeah, pink cloud, like imagine, like, no,
Imagine if I did this and I did that. She's like, oh, no, no.
yeah.
Boom, pop your pink cloud.
Yeah,
Like,
and
don't
it's a
imagine.
lot
How are you
similar.
going to get
Yeah, it's a
there?
lot similar to your relationship where, like, you're the realist and your wife is the dreamer, and like that's the balance. Like,
Yeah.
if you're both realist, it's not gonna be pretty. If you're both dreamers, nothing's gonna get done.
Yeah.
So like there's definitely like a balance in that component, and in the process of starting a business, one that I like to tell people is don't compare yourself to anybody. Don't.
Yeah.
I've done it so many times where I've compared myself to other businesses similar to mine or people who are in the similar industries. I compare myself so much, and I did it a lot. I think I did it a lot after the first year, where I would compare myself a lot. Like, oh, well, I can produce better content than this guy. And how come he's got so many people, or, this guy's making X amount of dollars and his shit is crap. Like, and I would say like, well, this guy that I really like to, watch, and I'm inspired by, like, man, like I want to be there. And I've learned that like comparing myself really takes the focus off of like what I'm building.
That will destroy you mentally. No, I mean, like it's like I feel like that's why a lot of people are like depressed right now, dude. Because of the same reason you're saying. They're always looking at what they don't have, and and they want to be where the guy they're watching, but I mean, go back 15, at least 12, 15 years. That's where they started compared to like year one for us, or year two for yourself, year 6 for me. I can't compare myself to these well companies. Like, there's this huge one down the street from where my yard is. That guy, they've been around 50, 60 years. And I'm going to be sitting in the corner crying because I can't have 50 trucks out there dominating all fucking California. No, it's that's a good point that you stated right now.
Yeah.
How are you able to overcome that? Like,
I think the big one is knowing when to stop, like, viewing things, when to stop. Like, a big one is like, going on YouTube, watching content creators, watching people who are in the same thing that I do, and watching like what they do and like what they display. Same thing with social media. People, are always showcasing their projects, their jobs and stuff like that. Finding the limit to like how much you should be consuming. And one that I've been learning recently is as much as you consume is as much as you should be putting in. So if I'm consuming an hour of social media a day, I should be putting in an hour of work, social media a day. Finding that balance, again, going back to balance, finding that balance, knowing when to stop. As soon as you start to those ideas start popping in your head about like, oh man, I feel so bad for myself because I don't have this and that. That's when it's time to put it away. That's when it's time to just put it away. If you're not finding any motivation behind it, okay, it's time to put that away. So
that's true, because there's like social media and like YouTube. There's 2 different ways to view it, right? You learn from it, and it benefits. If you can spend an hour watching YouTube videos, but you're learning from it, right?
Yeah.
You can watch a TikTok and you can learn from it. There's a lot of how-to things. There's a lot of creativity. There's a lot of finance people, business people teaching you about business. But again, like you said, if you want to watch a video for an hour, because like, let's say, for example, for you, let's say you have, I always describe business, a bucket, right? And it has holes and it's leaking water. Like, what is your weakness is the holes leaking. You can watch something to cover that hole in your bucket, but then in a way, how do you just stop from there, right? Because you said learning the balance of like when to put your phone down, but really quickly, the hour of watching the video can go to 2 to 3 hours of watching shit. And now you just like snap out of it. And you're like, fuck, I haven't even worked out. And I fucking, I was, that shit's like fucking hypnotizing, dude.
Yeah.
So is there a method you use? Like you put a timer? What do you do?
Unfortunately, I can't put a timer because the majority of my business is on social media. But like I said, I definitely get to a point where once I start to notice those feelings arise,
Yeah.
I put it away. I put it away instantly.
It's not
And
too late sometimes. Like,
sometimes it is.
yeah.
Depends my mindset though. It depends. Like if I'm feeling down or if I'm feeling, upset or something, I do find myself going deeper. But
Yeah.
definitely when you start to notice those traits arise where you're comparing yourself, it's when it's time to stop, because then you're viewing it more as like as a poor me thing as opposed
Yeah.
to motivation. Like I said, yes, you can gain I gain tons of motivation from that.
Mm-hmm.
I gain tons. Like there's times where I don't want to work out, and I'm into mixed martial arts, so there's times where I don't want to work out, and then a mixed martial artist posted some cool video of them like just hitting it in the gym, hitting the pads or
You're like,
working
let's
out, and
go.
I'm like, shit, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
and then there's times where I don't feel like working, and then I watch somebody post something about how building your craft is important, and like those little short clips of people
Yeah.
like working and talking about like how sometimes it's hard, and that helps me too. So again, it's if you find it if you don't find it motivating, then you're wasting time.
That's true.
Yeah.
It's a quick way to just cut it.
Yeah.
Um, for you and what you're building, was it something that you were always found support? Because a lot of people, they want to start a specific business, but they don't have any support
Mhm.
from both their partner, if they're married, or if they're engaged or whatever, or they're living with somebody, or even like family, like
Mhm.
their parents. For example, like Gary Vee's big on like a lot of kids follow. Oh, my dad doesn't want to, like, he wants me to go to college, but I want to start a business. He's like, well, then fucking move out. Like, like if it was that easy, right? But like,
Yeah.
was that something that you found, or how did you kind of work with that, like finding the right support?
I feel like support is everything, especially support from a significant other. That's definitely important, and then also surrounding yourself with the right people,
Yeah.
like-minded people. I have a very close set circle of people who I decide to surround myself with, because previously, I wanted to have all kinds of friends and
Mm-hmm.
be with all kinds of people, because, at the time, this is when I was like in high school, I thought it was cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I went through what I went through, and nobody was there at the end of the day. And,
Exactly.
so surrounding yourself with like-minded people is super important. Like, uh, and then the support of a significant other is also important. Like, if your significant other is supporting you and they're open to what you do, and they're there for you, like that's a great significant other. If you have a significant other and they're throwing sand at you and not caring about what you do, or asking you, why are you even doing this, like
Yeah.
what's the point, like, then maybe you should consider either continuing your craft or finding a new
Yeah.
partner.
Well,
So,
getting better is, if you're not as good, and sometimes they're just being honest from the outside in,
mhm.
it's good feedback, right? Sometimes I guess ego gets in the way. And, what the
Yeah.
fuck you
Well,
mean? My fucking video's
that
not good, but
definitely is a component there too. Yeah.
but um, yeah, like I like reaching out from outside and,
Hmm.
hey, what do you think? Honest opinion sometimes hurts,
Hmm.
Hey, like right now, I haven't, my fitness is bad, like, and I'll be like, oh, my fiance will be like, hey, you can be gaining some weight, or like this. Oh, I feel good. It's just like sugarcoating myself,
Hmm.
but like they say, even with that or work or your production or whatever, it hurts your feelings in a way. But at the same time, honesty is important, because then you have to realize, look in the mirror and be like, bro, you are fucking slacking.
Well, I mean, I feel like it hurts your feelings because one, you're aware of it, and two, what your significant other may be telling you, you take that to heart. Whether it's good or bad, like you're gonna take it very serious if they tell you
Yeah,
something. So I feel like yeah, like sometimes I get to a point where like I don't want to work, and I'm just like being a fucking slouch and not
yeah,
doing anything, and I'm just at the house, and then like my wife will just fucking cuss me out and like tell me, you haven't been doing shit, what the fuck's wrong with you? And my wife's not like that, by the way. She's like the nicest, kindest person you ever meet, but at the
But she
same
likes getting shit
but
done.
at the same time, like she'll tell me,
Yeah.
like, yo, you've been waking up late for the last 2 days, like what's going on?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh shit, I have been waking up late for the last 2 days, like let me get my shit together.
Yeah. It's important.
So yeah, like I finding a partner is important. And I also feel like, I mean, if you don't have a partner, if you don't have a significant other, find somebody that you know that's there for you. I know there's sometimes people who don't have anybody around,
Yeah.
whatever. Um,
Networking is good. Like being
but
around.
building that network, you know,
Yeah.
finding people who are similar to what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever find that, like networking, we're saying like hard finding like people that relatively think the same? Like, I feel like it's
Yeah.
hard, dude. Like, in a world where people don't give a fuck,
Mm-hmm.
YOLO mentality, blah, blah, blah. Like, I find it really like genuine, authentic people that are like on the right track and they want to do good to other people. They want to bring people upward as well. Do you find that difficult, or is it just me, or like
I th-
even going to network events and everything? Like, I don't know, people are not on the right like
yeah.
mindset. I'm not perfect by any means, but like, do you struggle with that? Like finding, because you said earlier, like when you're throwing parties or like hosting something in your house, like
Mm-hmm.
people are just like, the majority of people don't give a fuck
Mm-hmm.
about their situation or where they're headed, or they don't have a goal. Do you find, is that something that you go through with too? Like finding people that relatively think the same and they have standards for themselves, they have goals, they're working on
Yeah.
themselves or going to school or something like that?
Yeah, I feel the people around me are all generally people that are doing something with
Yeah.
their lives, whether it's through education, whether it's through spirituality, whether it's through business, whether it's through media, whether it's through creativity. uh I feel everyone around my life is doing something. For those that are not, like, yeah, it is a bit hard
Yeah.
to be in the position that like we are, where we're trying to build something, we're trying to build a brand, we're trying to build a future for ourselves and our family. And yeah, I mean, it is hard, but um if it's somebody who's close to you, it's also not somebody that you should probably consider disconnecting from, or maybe talking to them and be like, hey, like, what do you plan on doing with your future? Like, it's hard. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
those conversations are tough. I've had to have a couple of those conversations with close relatives of mine,
Hmm.
where like, hey, what do you plan on doing? Like, are you just planning on working a 9 to 5 for the rest of your life? Like, and it's just concern for me. It's not
Yeah.
even like, oh, well, you know, you're a piece of crap. Like, no, I just want to know if like everything's good with you and like you understand that like there's more to life. So definitely, like, I don't I don't have a lot of people that are in my life like that. Um, but at least the people that I do consider surrounding myself with are like-minded people.
That's good.
Yeah, and like building the network, like I've already built like a network now where like I have, and at me, I'm very introverted. Like I'm not talkative. I'm not, you know, I'm super introverted, as you can see. I'm just kidding. Um, but building a network is important. Like now I've built a network where like, you know, I've met people at an event and I'm like, oh, these people are awesome. Like recent, like a couple months ago, I did a wedding and I met a couple who were photographers and like they were awesome. And I had instantly, like me, I'm very judgmental. I was like, man, I hope they're not dicks and da da
Yeah.
da. And
Yeah.
then they're like the nicest, kindest people I've ever met. And like they're in the same industry as me and they're like giving me tips on like what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and then I met another person with the same thing. So it's, I feel like not going in when like you're building networks and stuff, like going in with the right idea and knowing what you're gonna get yourself into. So
Okay. That sounds legit. And that's how you know it's like super genuine of a person when they, if you're, especially if you're in the same industry and they're willing to like hand you down those tips, bro.
yeah.
Like that means that they're willing to bring you up,
Mm-hmm.
no matter where they are or where you are, but they're willing to like, hey, I noticed you did that, but if you did it this way, it would be a lot better. And most people are not open to that. Most people, oh, this motherfucker's in my, I don't want to give him tips. I don't want him to grow.
To take my
Yeah, but is that
yeah.
something you experienced too? Like you You notice some
Nah, I
people
haven't
are,
experienced that yet. Like, I honestly haven't experienced that. Like, anybody that I have met who does photography, film, or in media, I haven't experienced anything like that. Like, very, very. I feel like it's because we're creatives. Like
they're open
creatives,
to
yeah.
sharing.
Like creatives are not focused on like, you know, I'm gonna get my cake and eat it. Like, no,
Shit.
like creatives are focused on just like growth and like being creative. All the people that I've met like thus far, I haven't really met that much people, but like the people that I have met who are in this, they're so nice. And like I go in with the mentality that like, oh, I hope I'm not a dickhead or something
Yeah, yeah.
no, but then I'm like impressed. I'm like, actually no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna take it back. I just thought about it right now. I have met one person, but
Oh
they were
yeah.
young.
Oh
So
yeah.
they were
Much much
young,
younger.
they
Yeah.
were naive,
Yeah.
they thought they had it all together. And I'm like, okay, like do your thing, man. You're young, do your thing.
That's funny for us. Like in our industry, landscaping, motherfucker, they could be old as fuck. They don't want to hand down no knowledge, dude.
Yeah,
That's just
yeah,
experience I've had, and with people close to me and people that I don't know too much, but the same thing, man. They're very judgmental the way the younger guys do things, and they don't want to hand down any sort of like they. I think they think it's like the secret sauce, but it's not, dude. Like,
the secret sauce.
yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a big one, the secret sauce. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, awesome. So, anything else you want to throw on here, or
Um,
I feel like I dug in there,
yeah, you
got a
did
lot
do,
of out of
yeah,
you.
you did. That was cool. I really like that.
It was good.
Yeah.
Anything you want? Just a quick message for someone not in your looking forward to getting your industry or another industry, but just
Yeah.
starting their business.
Yeah.
And before we kind of end the podcast,
I want to say the biggest thing that has helped me is consistency is important. Staying consistent, no matter how bad you feel about it. Um, a project done is better than a perfect project, because you could spend months, weeks trying to build a project to be perfect
yeah,
as opposed to just getting it done. Um, and it's so much more important to just get it done as opposed to trying to find the perfect thing, because we're
yeah,
always trying to find the perfect thing and we're never going to get there, unfortunately. So being consistent is important. Being consistent and balance and consistency is this 2 years that I've been doing my business, or building my business. Consistency and balance
as a secret sauce.
is the secret sauce thus far. Yeah.
Right on. All right. So there it is, guys. Anchored Mind Projects, Carlos Castro. It was an amazing interview. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, stay shining, stay grinding.